There's a kind of pain that doesn't show up on x-rays. It doesn't make you limp. It doesn't bleed. It doesn't scream out loud. But it's there, lurking under the surface of your smile, tucked between the moments you're alone with your thoughts, hidden in the silence after someone asks, "You good?" And you say, "Yeah, I'm fine." But you're not. And you haven't been for a while. You wake up tired, even after a full night's sleep. Your chest feels heavy, not because of heartbreak, but something worse, numbness. You go through your days like you're playing a role in someone else's movie, smiling when expected, laughing on cue, saying all the right things, but feeling none of it. It's the kind of pain that's hard to explain because you don't even know where it came from. There wasn't one moment, no crash, no explosion, just the slow erosion of something important. You stopped dreaming, you stopped reaching, you stopped believing, and it didn't happen all at once. It happened gradually, like sand slipping through your fingers. A little less light every day, a little less hope, a little more pretending. And the worst part? No one sees it. Because from the outside, your life might look normal. You show up to work. You post on socials. You crack jokes. You hang out. You function. But inside, it's different. Inside, there's a scream that never gets out. A voice whispering, "There has to be more than this, right?" But you silence it. You distract yourself. You scroll. You binge. You stay busy. Because stopping, actually sitting still, means facing that voice. And that voice terrifies you. Because what if it's right? What if the life you're living isn't yours? What if you've become someone you never meant to be? What if you're just drifting? But here's what no one tells you. You're not broken. You're not weak. You're not lazy, ungrateful, or lost beyond repair. You're just in pain. A specific kind of pain that comes from misalignment. When the life you're living doesn't match the life your soul came here for. It's the pain of ignoring your calling, of trading purpose for comfort, of playing small in a world that needs you to be big. It's the ache of settling, of watching your potential fade into routine, of knowing you could be more, but feeling stuck in a version of yourself that barely feels alive. And you're not alone. Millions feel it. Right now, this very minute. They sit in traffic with hollow eyes. They fake laughter in meetings. They nod through conversations that don't move them. They settle, not because they want to, but because they forgot how to fight. They think it's just how life is. That the spark was a phase. That passion is childish. That joy is a luxury. They've been trained to be realistic, to pick stability over growth, to numb instead of heal. And so they live like ghosts in their own homes. Breathing, but not really alive. Existing, but not experiencing. But here's the truth you need to hear. That voice inside you is not a burden. It's your soul trying to wake you up. It's the whisper before the scream, the soft warning before the storm. It's the fire inside you saying, "This isn't it. There's more. You are more." But you have to stop numbing long enough to feel it. And that's terrifying. Because feeling again means remembering all the things you buried, the dreams you let die, the risks you never took, the version of you that still believes in magic, even after all the disappointment. But that pain, it's not here to break you. It's here to guide you. It's the signal, the spark, the internal alarm screaming, "Wake up. You're losing time." Because while you're busy pretending, your life is passing. Your chance to shift, to rise, to become is slipping away. Not because you're not capable, but because you've been told to silence the very part of you that knows the way out. This is the pain no one talks about, the invisible ache of a misaligned life. But now that you've heard this, you can't unhear it. And maybe that's the beginning of something real. You were never meant to live like this. You were never meant to silence your fire, to dim your light so others feel comfortable, to mold yourself into shapes that don't fit, just to be accepted by people who don't even know your soul. But somewhere along the way, you were taught to survive instead of thrive. Taught to keep your head down, not make too much noise. Follow the path. Stay in line. Be normal. And what did it get you? A job that drains you. A routine that numbs you. Relationships that feel surface level. A version of life that looks good on the outside, but feels empty on the inside. This is the quiet suffering so many carry. Not the pain of a dramatic fall, but the pain of slow erosion. The soul crying out for purpose and being met with silence. You weren't born to wake up, scroll your phone, work a job you hate, come home exhausted, distract yourself with screens, sleep, then repeat the same cycle again. You weren't born for autopilot. You were born with fire in your chest. You were born to build something, to feel deeply, to experience life in full color, to give your gifts, to heal what hurt you, and then use your scars as light for others still lost in the dark. But that version of you can't come alive while you're still clinging to safety. You have to choose to wake up, to shake yourself out of this fog, to consciously say, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not living half dead. I don't care what it costs. I want to feel alive again. And that decision, it won't look like fireworks. It won't feel like lightning. It'll feel quiet, but firm. Like something ancient inside you just stood up and whispered, it's time. Time to stop running from yourself. Time to stop pretending. Time to confront the ache head on and ask it what it wants to tell you. Because all pain is communication, even this silent kind. It's your soul waving a flare in the sky, begging you to pay attention. It's not trying to destroy you. It's trying to redirect you. And the longer you ignore it, the more disconnected you feel. From others, from your purpose, from yourself. This is why your conversations feel hollow, why your joy feels forced, why your body feels heavy even when you're not sick. Because alignment is energy. And right now, you're out of sync with who you really are. You know it. You felt it. That version of you, the one who knows they're meant for more, they're still in there, waiting, watching, hoping you'll remember. And here's the beautiful, terrifying truth. They never left. You just stopped listening. But you can choose to hear them again. Right now, in this moment, without quitting your job, without burning your life down, without waiting for some perfect time that'll never come. You start by getting honest. Radically honest. What are you tolerating that's killing your joy? What are you pretending not to care about, just to avoid disappointment? What dream have you buried so deep you're afraid to dig it back up? What would your life look like if you stopped living to be liked and started living to be real? These are the questions that wake you up, the ones that sting, because they're true. The world doesn't need another perfectly filtered image. It doesn't need you to be impressive. It needs you to be honest, to show up with your truth, to be the one who says, I'm not okay living like this anymore, and I'm finally going to do something about it. That one decision can begin a chain reaction that shifts everything. Not overnight, not without fear, but gradually, as you come back to life. You'll notice the way the sky looks different. You'll hear music deeper. You'll start saying no to what drains you, and yes to what brings you home to yourself. It starts inside, always inside, not with more hustle, not with some productivity hack, but with stillness, with the courage to feel, with the willingness to face that quiet pain and say, I hear you, I'm here, and I'm ready. Because here's what they don't teach you. Your pain is a compass. It's not random. It's not a curse. It's a signal. And the moment you stop numbing and start listening, that's the moment everything begins to change. When was the last time you truly felt alive? Not entertained, not distracted, not comfortable. Alive. That full body surge of meaning. That rush in your chest when you're doing something you were born to do. That electricity in your veins when your mind, body, and soul are all saying, yes, this is it. Most people haven't felt that in years. Some not ever. And they've convinced themselves that's normal. But deep down, you know, that version of you isn't just missing. They've been waiting, quietly, patiently, hoping you'd finally stop running and start remembering. Because here's the secret. You don't have to become someone new. You just have to return to who you were before the world told you to be someone else. Before you were told to be quiet, to play it safe, to not dream too big, to stop asking questions, to follow the path, to color inside the lines. Before you learned how to survive, you knew how to live. You used to look up at the stars and wonder. You used to feel things without apology. You used to believe in magic, not the kind in fairy tales, but the kind that lives inside people who haven't been beaten down by life yet. That part of you is still there, but life layered over it. Bills, deadlines, expectations, heartbreak, disappointment, trauma, fear. Layer by layer, you got covered in what the world said you should be. Until one day you woke up and didn't recognize yourself anymore. And maybe you thought that version of you was gone, but they're not. They're just buried under a lifetime of noise. So here's the question that matters now. Are you willing to uncover yourself? Not fix, not chase, not add more. Uncover. Strip away the false identities, the roles you play, the armor you wear just to make it through the day, the mask that smiles while you're breaking inside. Because you can't heal what you won't face, and you can't face what you keep pretending isn't there. This pain you carry, the silent, invisible kind, it's your doorway. It's not your enemy. It's the map. But most people run from it. They call it depression. They call it burnout. They call it being stuck. And yes, those are real. But underneath those words is a simple truth. You're out of alignment with your truth. You're living a life that wasn't built for your soul. And it's suffocating you in slow motion. You try to patch it with weekends, with vacations, with dopamine hits, with pretending you're okay. But deep down, you know, if something doesn't change, you'll keep waking up with that ache. That silent ache that says, I don't want this life. Not like this. So what now? Where do you even begin when the pain feels so big and the world feels so loud? You begin with one small act of rebellion. You start telling yourself the truth. Not the polite version. Not the socially acceptable script. The raw, unfiltered truth. I don't want to just exist. I want to live. I want to feel again. I want to build something real. I want to wake up with purpose, not dread. I want to stop pretending. I want to remember who I am. That honesty alone can be a revolution. Because the moment you get honest, you begin to reclaim your power. Not in some dramatic, cinematic way, but in the small decisions. Collision saying no to what drains you, collision creating space for what feeds you, collision letting go of relationships that dim your spirit, collision taking risks that scare you but excite you, collision resting, not as escape, but as fuel. You don't need a 10-year plan. You don't need a spiritual retreat. You don't need to figure it all out tonight. You just need to take one brave step, and then another, and another, and slowly, without even realizing it, you'll begin to feel something shift. The fog lifts. The colors return. The heaviness loosens its grip. The fire, the one that felt gone forever, sparks again. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's alignment. And when you start living in alignment, the pain transforms. It doesn't disappear, but it changes shape. It becomes your teacher, your fuel, your proof that you were never meant to settle. Because the truth is, if you feel this pain, the quiet kind no one talks about, it means there's still something alive in you. Something sacred. Something resilient. Something that refuses to die quietly. That's not weakness. That's your soul. It's not giving up on you. Don't you dare give up on it. There's a moment in every story, the quiet before the shift. The second right before the character finally says, enough. That moment is never loud. It doesn't come with music. There's no applause. No lightning bolt from the sky. It's just stillness. A pause. A deep breath that sounds like a whisper from your soul. I can't live like this anymore. And maybe this is your moment. Right here. Right now. You, sitting with this video, heart cracked open, eyes wet, pulse steady. Maybe you didn't come here for entertainment. Maybe you didn't need advice. Maybe you just needed someone to name the thing you've been feeling but couldn't explain. Because for too long, you've been surviving with a quiet ache inside you. You've mastered the art of keeping it together, of showing up, of doing your best. But inside, you're tired. Not sleepy, soul tired. From carrying dreams that never got a chance. From shrinking yourself in rooms that didn't deserve your presence. From smiling through grief. From being strong when you really just needed to be held. This is the pain no one talks about. Because it's not glamorous. It's not dramatic. It's not even visible, but it's there, in the way you avoid silence, in the way you hesitate before answering honestly, in the way you look at yourself in the mirror and don't quite recognize what you see. But you know what makes this pain so dangerous? You can learn to live with it. You can normalize it, adjust to it. Tell yourself, this is just how life is. And the years pass. That should terrify you more than anything. Because the longer you carry this silent weight, the easier it becomes to forget what it felt like to live without it. You stop laughing the same way. You stop looking forward to things. You stop dreaming altogether. Not because you don't want to, but because it hurts too much to want something you're not sure you'll ever get. And yet, even now, with all that pain, there's a spark. You feel it. It's why you're still watching. Why you haven't clicked away. Why your chest tightens when the truth hits too close. That spark? It's you. The real you. The one who still believes. The one who still cares. The one who's tired of faking it. It's the version of you that refuses to die quietly. The version that says, I don't know what comes next, but I know it has to be different. And that's all you need to start. You don't need a roadmap. You don't need to fix your entire life tonight. You just need the willingness to begin. Begin what? Begin remembering. Begin listening to the quiet voice inside, the one you've ignored for years. Begin shedding the roles, the masks, the expectations. Begin asking questions like, what makes me feel alive? What have I given up on that I still secretly want? Or have I abandoned myself in order to be accepted? You don't need answers yet. You just need to ask. Because questions are doors, and the right ones will always lead you back home. Here's what's real. You're going to lose people. You're going to outgrow situations. You're going to have to make choices that feel terrifying at first. But for the first time in a long time, you'll be choosing you. Not the version of you that performs. Not the one that pleases. Not the one that fits in. The real one. The one who's wild and wise and a little bit messy. The one who doesn't need to be perfect, just present. The one who stopped asking for permission and started walking with purpose. This is what it means to heal. Not to go back to who you were before the world hurt you, but to rise as someone stronger because of it. Someone softer, more grounded, more real. The pain you've carried isn't the end of your story. It's the spark that ignites your return. Return to joy, to wholeness, to truth, to fire. You're not broken. You're becoming. So if you're still with me, if something inside you is still whispering yes, then listen. This is your life. Not a rehearsal, not a draft, not someone else's script. Yours. And you still have time. Time to pivot, to rise, to fall in love with the life you were meant to live, not the one you were told to settle for. But the clock is ticking, because eventually, this ache will either wake you up or numb you for good. And I know, with every part of me, that if you've made it this far, you're the kind of soul who's meant to wake up, not just for yourself, but for everyone who needs the light you've been hiding. So here we are, not at the end, but at the beginning. Because real beginnings don't happen when the sun rises. They happen when you decide, I'm not going back. Not to silence, not to hiding, not to a life that looks good on paper but feels hollow in your heart. There's something sacred about a human being who chooses truth over comfort, who chooses freedom over fitting in, who chooses soul over surface. You may feel lost, but that's a sign you've finally stepped off the path that was never yours to walk. Now you get to build something new. And that's the scary part, right? Because no one hands you a blueprint for becoming yourself. There's no GPS for soul work, no checklist for awakening. You'll lose your way sometimes. You'll doubt yourself. You'll feel like nothing is changing. Until one day, you wake up and you feel different. Lighter, more honest, more you. Because here's the truth. Transformation isn't loud. It's not some movie moment where everything changes overnight. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's found in the tiny decisions you make differently. You pause instead of reacting. You speak your truth even if your voice shakes. You rest without guilt. You create something even if no one sees it. You say yes to things that scare you but excite your soul. Those choices, they become your becoming. And as you do the work, the inner work, life starts responding. You meet people who feel like home. Opportunities show up that match your new energy. Your body feels less heavy. Your days begin to carry meaning again. It's not magic. It's not coincidence. It's alignment. Because when you choose yourself, the world adjusts. People feel it. You stop attracting chaos. You stop betraying yourself to be accepted. You start living with integrity, not perfection, but alignment. And suddenly, this life that once felt unbearable starts to feel like a gift again. Not because it got easier, but because you got clearer. Clearer on what matters. Clearer on who you are. Clearer on the kind of life that honors your soul. But this clarity comes with a responsibility. You can't go back to sleep. Not after this. Not after remembering. So what do you do now? You start walking. You build the life you once thought was impossible, brick by brick. You let your pain become your wisdom. You let your past become your fuel. You let your heart, the real one, lead the way. You stop trying to be liked, and you start trying to be real. You let go of who you thought you had to be, and you embrace who you really are, fully, fiercely, unapologetically. You understand that your value was never in how much you do, or how many people approve of you, or how perfectly you perform. Your value is in your presence, your truth, your being. You, raw, honest, fully alive, are enough. And every day you choose to live from that place, you make the world a little brighter. You give others permission to wake up too. That's how change spreads. Not through force, but through fire. The fire in your soul, once reignited, becomes a torch for others. So carry it with pride. Not because you have it all figured out, but because you finally chose to begin. To break the cycle. To face the ache. To rise from the ashes of who you were. And become who you were always meant to be. Because here's the final truth. The pain you've been feeling? It's not a life sentence. It's a wake-up call. And now that you've heard it, it's your turn to answer. So stand up. Take the first step. Even if your legs shake. Even if your voice trembles. Because the world needs you. Not the filtered version. Not the edited version. The real one. The one who's been hiding. The one who's been hurting. The one who's still here. And still burning. This is not the end. This is the beginning of your real life. If this message touched something deep inside you, don't just feel it, act on it. Subscribe to MindFire Motivation Speech Balloon, leave a comment sharing your truth, loudspeaker share this video with someone who's hurting silently, glowing star, and most of all, start making changes. Even small ones. Today.